رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم من يريد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين صدق الله العظيم. इंतहाई मोहतरम मुकर्रम मेरे बुजुर्गों, respected brothers, let us all recite Durood Pak in the holy court of Rasul Akram sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam with love and respect. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim salatan wa salaman alayka ya Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. So alhamdulillah, we started this Darse Fiqh last week during weekdays. We had our first Dars, and during that first Dars, we tried to understand the concept of fasting, the reason, the important bits of fasting. We also need to understand that the way month of Ramadan begins and the way month of Ramadan ends. How do we begin? How do we end? And also to understand a little bit about moon sighting, how it works, what is the differences we have in UK, and why we have two Eids, just to give you a little bit of idea about it. Not to have contradictions, just to make you understand that why does this happen and why we follow the way we follow. A very famous hadith of Rasul Akram alayhi salatu wasalam, which is in Bukhari and Muslim. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he stated in this hadith that चांद देखकर रोज़ा रखना शुरू करो और चांद देखकर इफ्तार mean Eid करो. When you begin your Ramadan, you should begin your Ramadan by seeing the moon. When you ending your Ramadan, you should end the Ramadan by seeing the moon. This is a simple, straightforward Hadith Pak. For this reason, the Sunnah way is, and the orthodox method is, whichever country you are in, whichever place you live in, you should try and see the moon. If you see the moon, if the hilal has been sighted, you start that month. If the hilal is not sighted, you carry on, complete 30 days, and you finish your month. And for this reason, in this country, in UK as well, you have a group of people, and there are many of them who follow local moon sighting. Regardless of what's happening in Saudi, what's happening in South Africa, what's happening in Morocco, if the moon is sighted locally, they'll follow it. If the moon is not sighted locally, they'll complete 30 days. This method is not wrong. This method is according to what Rasul Akram alayhi salatu wasalam has stated. However, within a hadith, Rasul Akram alayhi salatu wasalam has also mentioned about getting the shahada. So if the moon is not sighted, suppose it's not been sighted in Leicester, if it's been sighted in different city, what is the way of getting the news? Nowadays you have electronic media, you have social media, you have different ways to get the news. So you get the news like that. The proper way to get the shahada of moon has been sighted is physically, either those who have seen it, they come and give you the news, as if they say that we testify that we have seen the moon of so and so year of so and so month. That's what we call face-to-face shahada. Shahada is acquired only by face-to-face. Okay, the way we do now is ifade khabar. What is ifade khabar? Ifade khabar is if the moon is not sighted in local areas or locally, then with different means. For example, you have emails, you have phones, you have various ways to contact the country or the people who actually have seen the moon, and you get the news. So what we do, we use the ifade khabar, which our scholars have given the permission of. We use this method of ifade khabar. We get the news from Morocco, we get the news from South Africa, different countries which are reliable. Okay, now people, they do say that if you get news from South Africa, ifade khabar, you take from South Africa or you take from Morocco or from any other countries like Malawi, what is the problem with Saudi then? Saudi is a Muslim country, and why don't you take the news from there? Ifade khabar could be done from Saudi too. I'll explain very briefly what is the reason why we try and avoid Saudi moon sighting. In front of me, I have an article which has been published from Middle East Eye. They have published this article in 2021. In this article, it's been explained that the kingdom means kingdom of Saudi kingdom. The kingdom relies on a calendar called Qura. They have a calendar which is set, Qura calendar, because everything that happens in Saudi is according to Islamic dates. So they follow the Islamic months, Islamic dates, and the calendar they have designed is called Qura. What is Qura now? Qura is it's a mixed lunar calendar. They have 8 months are predetermined. How many Islamic months are predetermined? 8 months. How many months left? 4 months left. Okay, so you have 8 months which are predetermined. Now, how do they determine these dates, end of month, beginning of month? They completely rely on observatory. Okay, if the observatory says that the moon will be born, doesn't matter how long, doesn't matter whether there'd be possibility for the moon to be sighted or not, they will design their calendar accordingly. So if you have predetermined calendar and Islamic months predetermined, how can you rely the moon sighting of those 4 remained months? There will be problem, there will be issues. That was the reason that this year, when Saudi had 29th of Shaban, they had to see the moon. But according to observatory, it was impossible. Even the birth of moon was impossible, and the way and the conditions for moon to be sighted, it was impossible for Saudi to see the moon. Not only in Saudi, anywhere around the world, it was impossible for the moon to be sighted. So our issue is predetermining Islamic months. This is completely against the Sunnah. They may have their reasons. There is no argument about it that why they do it. It's their country. They can do the way they want. They can run their country the way they want. Do we have to follow? We don't have to. Yes? And that's the reason that Islamic months cannot be predetermined. They predetermine it, they must have their reasons, and that's why they do it. Only 4 months remain, and these 4 months, they try and see the moon crescent. Okay, now, one thing we need to understand, and all the scholars from Sunni, scholars from different groups, many of them, they have focused and they have told their people as well, including those who follow those leaders, being told that, and who is been telling this? The muftis of Saudi, that you do not need to follow Saudi moon sighting. Why? Their reason is the same, that we have predetermined 8 months because our dates and everything goes according to Islamic months. So they probably have to predetermine everything to for their business or whichever reason. If they are telling us not to follow, why are we adamant to follow them? They telling us this is for Saudi Arabia, not for the world. Therefore, we look at the countries like Morocco. Now, what is the mechanism in Morocco about moon sighting? The first thing, they don't have any predetermined dates or months. They don't predetermine Islamic months. beginning or end of it, the moon sighting is done, and accordingly, the government announces it. If you look at South Africa, if you look at Malawi, every country has the same mechanism, which is more reliable, which is more trusted, and it is something which is very close to the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Therefore, without any argument, without any accusations, we try and follow what is the most authentic and reliable resources. If people follow this, there'll be a lot of ease for the Muslims of this country. There won't be two Eids, there'll be one Eid. People will be at ease. Okay. I hope this makes sense. Differences that we have. According to the Hadith Pak of Rasul Akram alayhi salatu wasalam, there are 5 months. And citing the moon of those 5 months, it becomes wajibe kifaya. What is wajibe kifaya? Wajibe kifaya means even if one person among the community he goes out to see the crescent, to see the hilal, it is sufficient for everyone. If out of the entire community nobody goes, then everyone will be sinner. 5 महीनों के चांद देखना वाजिबे किफ़ाया है. अगर किसी ने भी नहीं देखा पूरी कम्युनिटी में से, या देखने की कोशिश नहीं की, तो सबके ऊपर गुनाह होगा. लेकिन अगर पूरी कम्युनिटी में से एक बंदे ने भी कोशिश की और देख लिया या देखने की कोशिश की, तो सबके ऊपर से जिम्मा जाता रहेगा. कौन से हैं ये 5 महीने? शाबान, रमज़ान से पहले का जो महीना है, शाबान का चांद देखना, रमज़ान शरीफ का चांद देखना, शव्वाल, जुल्क़ादा एंड जुल्हिज्जा, इन 5 महीनों के चांद देखना ज़रूरी है. That is the reason that Saudi, out of these 4 months, take the Shaban out. Okay, so other 4 months, they don't predetermine, because predetermining them could cause a lot of tensions. People go for Hajj, people follow Saudi for Ramadan. For that reason, they try and see the moon, see the hilal. Okay, so I thought this is something I should explain in regards to the sighting the moon. So even us, you and I, in Leicester, we have group of our youth every month, pretty much, especially these 5 months. They go out different locations, like locations in Hamilton, many other places. They go and try and see the moon. So they actually fulfilling this wajib kifaya on our behalf. तो उनका हमें शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहिए. अच्छा, moving on, रोज़ा तोड़ने वाली चीज़ों का बयान. So we'll try and understand very briefly the things which break our fast. We have 5 minutes, inshallah. We'll try and conclude in 5 minutes. If a person eats, drinks, or have any physical sexual relationship with his partner, with the wife, knowingly is the condition कि जानबूझ के इनमें से कोई भी काम अगर बंदा करता है तो उसका रोज़ा टूट जाता है. अननोविंगली अगर कोई करता है, मिसाल के तौर पे उसे याद ही नहीं रहा कि उसका रोज़ा है, he doesn't remember whether he's fasting or not, in that case it will not break the fast. However, the scholars, they have mentioned that if you see somebody eating in the month of Ramadan, what should you do? They say that if the person seems healthy and young, you should tell him straight away. You should stop him and tell him, are you fasting or not? Because in Ramadan, you shouldn't eat or drink publicly anyway. If you see someone doing it, you should inform them. If the person who is eating or drinking is an old, then don't stop him. Yeah? Don't stop him straight away. Once he had a little bit, then stop him. What is the reason? The reason is because an old person, if he has a little bit, unknowingly, his fast is not going to be affected anyway. His fast will remain, but he will get little bit of energy. If the person is young, he does not need it. You should stop him looking at his health and age. If a person has the habit of smoking, could be shisha, cigarette, or any kind of smoking habits, if he smokes, that will break your fast. In our houses, we have luban, agarbatti, and many other bukhur that we do. It is not impermissible to do them whilst we are fasting, but if somebody deliberately, janbujh ke, if he takes the smoke in, then that will cause his fast to break. जानबूझ के अगर धुआं अंदर लेता है तो उसके लिए मसला है. Likewise, if people have habit of eating pan, many people do. Even in UK, you have what do you call the signs? Do not spit the pan here. हमारा कल्चर हम माशाल्लाह हर जगह रखते हैं. तो अगर कोई पान खाता है, if somebody eats pan and he thinks I'm just chewing it, I'm not taking anything down, still scholars say that he cannot be so careful, his fast will break. पान खाना अगरचे वो सिर्फ चबा रहा है, उसको नीचे नहीं ले जा रहा है, फिर भी उसका रोज़ा जाता रहेगा. If you have people who have problem with their teeth or gums, if they have problem of bleeding in their mouth, if he's bleeding and the blood mixes with the saliva and goes down the throat and you can taste it, if the blood was more than saliva, that will break the fast. The reason is it is outside element that went in your throat. If spit goes down, that doesn't break the fast. Likewise, if you have mucus, phlegm, if that goes down, that doesn't break fast either. But if the blood mixes with it and blood overpowers the spit or saliva, then it will break the fast. The scholars say that usually, how would you know that there is more blood than the saliva? When it goes down the throat, and if you can taste the blood, that means the blood is more than saliva. जब हलक में जाता है तो अगर खून का मज़ा महसूस होता है तो इससे आपको ये एहसास होना चाहिए कि खून ज़्यादा है और थूक कम है. तो इस बुनियाद पर इससे रोज़ा जाता रहेगा. If anybody uses nasal spray, anybody uses inhalers, both of these will cause the fast to break, because nasal spray usually reaches to the brain. When you take the inhaler has that fine powder that goes down your lungs and your veins and it expands them. So it's the element which is from outside going inside your body that will break your fast. Suppose if a person was doing wuzu, whilst he was doing wuzu, we have the habit of doing kulli, gargling. Whilst we were gargling, some water went down by mistake. आप वुजू कर रहे थे, कुल्ली कर रहे थे, मुंह में पानी था, हिचकी आई, आपके मूवमेंट कुछ ऐसी हुई कि पानी नीचे चला गया. Even if that happened by mistake, this will break your fast. गलती से भी अगर गया पानी, आपका रोज़ा जाता रहेगा. क्यों? Because you knew that you are fasting. If you know that you are fasting, then when you do wuzu or when you do ghusl, you have to be very careful. So when you do gargling, you shouldn't do mubalagha. Mubalagha means you shouldn't do it too much that it could possibly break your fast by water going down the throat. Likewise, if you're cleaning your nose, and whilst you're cleaning your nose, the water went up. You sniffed water a bit too much and went up all the way to the brain. In that case, similar ruling is when it goes down to the throat or to the brain, that breaks your fast. Therefore, if a person is fasting and he wants to do wuzu, he should be very careful. Especially when he is doing ghusl, he should be even more careful, because in ghusl, gargling is farz. Cleaning your nose is farz. Both of them are from the faraiz, necessary. तो इस वजह से जब आप गुसल भी करें रोज़े की हालत में, तो कुल्ली करते वक्त you don't need to clean your throat. Yes, usually when we have to do ghusl, we take water and then we gargle thoroughly and we try and clean the throat. When we are fasting, we don't need to do that. We should not do that. As well as when we're cleaning the nose, the same rule applies. Just outer part of the nose or very close to your nostrils. Take the water, clean the closest part, and that's it. Sniff the water. Don't sniff the water in such manner that it goes up. And finally, if somebody was sleeping, usually people keep water next to them. If somebody was sleeping and whilst they were sleeping, after their sahri, they were sleeping and they drank some water during their sleep. आदत हो अगर बंदे को या नींद में प्यास लग जाती है, पी लेते हैं बगैर आंखें खोले. इसी तरह से if in midday, let's say after Zohar, you went and you went to rest, water was next to your bed, in your sleep you felt thirsty, you drank water, in both cases the fast will go. Yes, the reason is you know that you're fasting. The reason that you drank water, you were in your sleep. Yes, therefore the fast will break. Likewise, if somebody has a habit of sleepwalking and he does things during the sleep, if he eats, yes, sleep eating, let's say, the habit, that also will affect the fast and break the fast, which is very unusual and unlike, but it is the Islamic Sharia. It gives you all the possibilities, all the scenarios that anyone could ever face. There is an answer in the Sharia of Prophet ﷺ. So these are some of the rulings that I mentioned in front of you. There are some more which we'll do tomorrow, inshallah. If any question, I mean, you can ask. If not now, you can ask later on, inshallah. Jazakallah. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وآلہ وصحبہ اجمعین. مولا کریم آج کی اس ہماری نشست کو اپنی بارگاہ میں قبول فرما. اس میں جو کچھ بھی سیکھا اور سکھایا گیا انہیں قبول فرما. کسی قسم کی غلطی کمی کوتاہی اسے معاف فرما. ہم تمام کو رسول کریم علیہ الصلوۃ والسلام کے توسط سے ایمان والی زندگی اور ایمان پر موت عطا فرما. جنت البقیع میں ہم تمام کو مدفن عطا فرما. صلی اللہ تعالی علی خیر خلقہ ونور عرشہ محمد وآلہ وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.